Good morning and welcome. It is day 6, our final day here at Shenandoah National Park. It's January 2nd. We are hiking the White Oak Canyon Boundary Trail to the lower falls. The map at the signpost says it's about 2 miles. A lot of the reviews that I have read though say it's more like 3.5 miles round trip, just to kind of see all 3 of the lower falls. And it is currently 28 degrees outside. So every day we say, oh, it's been our chilliest morning. Today is in fact our chilliest morning. We're here at our first fork in the road. The map down below said to hang a right. This does say Trail Cedar Run is that way, and White Oak Canyon is this way.
One thing that we noticed on the drive-in to the hike today was there was a lot of frost on the ground. So like on the farmland, just pretty much everywhere, and even on the leaves here in the on the hike or on the trail, there's a little bit of frost. I tried to get a little bit video of it. I'm not sure how well it turned out on video, but there is a little bit of frost on the ground this morning. We just crossed over a small bridge that crossed a river. We stopped and took a couple of pictures there, and it looks like this is going to be the stream that we follow all the way up to the falls, which will be nice to have that noise in the background as we hike. We usually like to stop after the first 10-15 minutes that we start a hike, just that we can, you know, adjust any clothing or whatever that is needed. So back there we shed some layers. I took off my jacket, hat, my neck gaiter, and then Kelly took off just one of her jackets that she had.
This hike so far has been a little bit different. The hikes that we've done so far have all been, you start at the higher elevation, you hike down to your destination, and then the challenging part is coming back out. This is a little bit of the reverse. We're starting from the lower elevation and hiking up to the falls versus hiking down to the falls. So this time around, we're getting the tough part out first, you could say, and then the walk back to the car will hopefully be a breeze. On the tree! That was me crossing over the tree. Most of the time when you're on these trails, if a tree will fall over, they'll cut it to make the pathway through much easier. This tree looked a little older. It's probably been there for a little while, so they may have just decided to leave it since it didn't impede the trail too much, considering you could easily step over it. So those are just some of the different obstacles you might face when you are out on the trail. Here by the river, we've reached one of the trail markers. We'll be forging ahead straight according to the marker, but if you were looking to connect back with the Cedar Run trail, you have to do a little bit of rock hopping over the river to get to that trail. We detoured a little bit off the path. There's just some rocks that you have to climb down to get to this pool area. Guessing during the summer this is probably a popular spot to dip your toes in and to cool off for a bit. 2 or 3 days ago, when we had finished our final hike of the evening over at the Limberlost Trail, In the parking lot, we had met a woman named Lynn who lived in the area. And we just started talking a little bit about the different trails in the area and things that she recommended. And this trail, the White Oak Falls, was one of the ones that she had talked about that she really enjoyed. It hadn't been on our radar as something to do, but I'm glad that we are embarking out on it today. So far, it has been very nice and enjoyable.
We just noticed something pretty interesting on the trail as we're walking. We're walking right next to the river, so you can hear it. But when we walk around this corner here, the sound quiets down quite a bit. There's a big rock and a tree, but it's a big noticeable difference. And so when we walk by here, I'll just see if we can catch it on the video. And now we're back on the other side of that tree and the rock, and the stream or the river is back to being its normal volume.
I can see the falls through the trees here, and they look pretty awesome. So hopefully in the next couple of minutes, we'll be right next to them and we can take a closer look.
We have made it to the base of the lower falls. The area that we're in right now is kind of a two-tiered waterfall. The one behind me is the bigger one, and then the one just downstream a little bit is the smaller one. So I'm not sure, there's supposed to be a couple of other waterfalls. I'm not sure how far there are up from here. We might just try a little bit ways just to see if we can see another one, but if not, this is still pretty impressive to get this close to the waterfall.
Started back on the trail and then decided to pull up the map and see how far it would be to get to the upper falls. It looks like it's about another 1.5 miles or so to get to the upper falls. We still have another hike planned for today, so I think we're going to turn around. We got to see the lower falls, which were pretty spectacular. One of the best falls I think we've seen so far in the different ones that we've been able to hike out to. So now we're just gonna head back to the car, eat our lunch, and then venture on to our next hiking destination. We've made it back to the start of the trailhead. We ended up hiking today 3.55 miles out to the lower falls. One thing to note with this trail is you can actually approach it from two different points. You can start on Skyline Drive, and then you can hit the upper falls from that direction, or you can start here on the park boundary. I believe it's Highway 600, and hit the lower falls, or if you're brave enough to attempt both sets of them, I think the full hike is about 6 miles point to point, so you'd have a long day in store for you indeed. All right, now we're off to the next trail. We'll see you on the flip side. Fast forward 1.5 hours, and we have arrived at the Blackrock Summit parking lot. It is a 1.1 mile circuit or a loop that we're going to go out and do. It's supposed to have good views of some talus rocks and then of the valley below us. So our plan for today, we're going to follow the Yellow Hike Trail, which is part of the AT. We've got 4 vistas, come back down, and then we'll follow the Traefoot Mountain Trail back here to the parking lot. We're probably not going to do a lot of filming on this trip and hold off until we get to the summit, and then we'll show you some views from the top. Let's go. We've made it to the Talus Rocks, and we're just going to stop along the different viewpoints here and see what we've got.
These talus rocks are pretty cool to look at. It's essentially a giant landslide of big rocks. And so they go up above me and then all down below. So it's actually pretty cool to do. So this is just the first overlook that we're at. There's 3 more, so we'll go see if what other type of views that we have up here on this hike. We've scrambled up some of the rocks up here, just a little bit up the landslide, I guess. And just behind me, this is kind of looks like what the rocks look like before they break off and tumble down. So they're just obviously a bigger section of rock, and then they crack, and then when the water and that freezes, it breaks them off, and just other natural erosion just breaks them off. Then they flake down the mountain like they do here.
As we're exploring up here, we are on the wrong side of the mountain, I guess you could say, in terms of the wind. It is definitely zipping through here. A couple of times you gotta quickly reach up and make sure you've got your ball cap still on, and it hasn't tried to blow off. So looks like we're gonna curve back around and get behind all of this talus rock, and hopefully the wind will die down at that point as well. The views from the summit were pretty spectacular. The lighting in the clouds played great to the sky, so it made for some nice photos. And actually, I think the view from there was better than a lot of the overlooks that we have pulled out and stopped at throughout the park. This trail was one that I wanted to do. I know Derek had wanted to do a couple more waterfall type trails, but I figured, hey, we have to at least do one summit in the park, even if it is a short summit hike, and I think he would agree that I'm glad that we ventured out onto this trail today.
Just finished up with the Blackrock Summit Trail. We went 1.2 miles, so it was a very quick and short hike, but definitely worth it when we got out there to see all that rock. Initially I didn't want to go, but Kelly wanted to do it and it was scheduled, so I'm glad that we ended up doing it. That's going to do it for us out here in Shenandoah National Park, so we'll see you on the next adventure.